Hey, everybody. So awesome that you're joining. And in this session, we have the most amazing one and only Ray Lane. You probably know him as Ray, the video guy. Ray Lane is what his name is. Awesome to have you here, Ray. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we can do some fun stuff today.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. It is just going to be awesome. All right. So Ray, I'm doing these interviews and I'd just like to dive straight into it with you as one of the top marketers that I'm doing these interviews with. And what me and my audience would like to know right off the bat is you're obviously known. I know your story. I love your story. I love you. You're awesome. But we'd all love to know more about you, the way you want to share your story. So what's your story leading up to IM and since then?
Well, I actually started in the video business long before I ever got into IM. So I worked at TV stations, I worked at some advertising agencies, and we produced a lot of content for small businesses, as well as for big businesses. Shaw's Supermarkets, Albertsons was one of our clients that we did a lot of work with. We did a lot of work with car dealerships. And so that's kind of my background, is creating video for television. And somewhere around, I want to say, probably 2003. So this is a couple years before YouTube even existed. I really started to realize that online video was where things were going to be going. And that's kind of the future of everything. And so I started to shift more of my focus to the online space when it came to video. So we started producing a lot of video for businesses, specifically for the web. Now, at the time, we were using QuickTime. We were using Real Media. If any of you remember Real Video or Real Audio, that's a long time ago. I'm not even sure whatever happened to those guys. But we were producing content using those platforms because there really wasn't much as far as an online platform to upload a video and to host it. So we would literally shoot videos. We'd put them onto these special hosting systems and stream them out using Real Video Player or direct QuickTime players, things like that. And did that for quite a few years. In fact, I started to travel the country shooting videos of local businesses and local municipalities. So I would literally go out to some town in Mississippi, and I would spend 3 days there, and I would videotape the mayor, and I would videotape different parts of the city, from parks to schools to whatever was really important in that particular location. And then we would work with local businesses and shoot small commercials, which basically paid for the rest of the stuff that we were doing. And I did that for quite a while, traveling around the country. And during that time, I started to work more with individual local businesses. So, the local plumber, the local flower shop, producing videos and setting them up with video marketing. And by then, of course, YouTube was around and Vimeo had started to pop up. And a few years later, Vimeo started doing HD. And so we did a lot of stuff through Vimeo for a while until YouTube caught up. And it's just been a long journey like that. And what actually happened was I ran across a couple of guys out where I lived who were starting to do marketing for some local businesses as well. And we decided to get together. We started working together. I was producing the videos, content. They were going out and meeting different clients. And we started to build a nice little business of helping people market online. Well, during that time, I had really started to understand the power of creating YouTube channels for these businesses. And so we started to really put a lot of effort, and this is old YouTube, the real old look of YouTube. But we started to put together these templates and things for local businesses. And I finally decided, I should teach other people how I do this. And so I decided to make a course as well as YouTube templates for the old backgrounds. And we put the course out, and it did really well. In fact, it made $500 in the first weekend. Now, people are going, wait, $500? That's not a whole lot of money. And it's not a lot of money, but when you've never done anything like that before and you probably, you thought you were going to make nothing and nobody was ever going to buy it, the fact that I made $500, it kind of turned that light bulb on. I said, oh, there's some really good stuff we can do if we sell products online. And so that's when we decided to start making a couple more products, and each one of them sold a little bit better. And then I came up with a product called YouTube Interactive, which showed you how to add graphics to your videos and make them clickable so that you could have clickable buttons right inside your videos. And that's when things really took off, because we just sold thousands and thousands of copies of that in the course of 3 or 4 days, and we won awards and all this other fun stuff. And And that's when I really realized, okay, this isn't just something we can do for fun. This is something that, could be a full-time, 100% business by itself. And so that's when I really started to focus a lot more on the affiliate marketing, the product creation, and the more traditional make money online space. Now, we still had clients that we dealt with. We still had new clients we were getting, but most of my efforts started to go in that direction. And so that's basically how I got into the area and started to make money doing it.
It's amazing. What an amazing story. And it is absolutely no coincidence and 100% justified that you call yourself Ray the Video Guy, because I mean, there's a huge video background in there, and it's in your right place at the right time story with all the video background, and then right being at the cusp of the online video world just going ballistic, and you being there. Awesome stuff. So there's obviously a great timing issue and a timing advantage that worked out. But as an entrepreneur, despite all these awesome successes that you have had, I'm pretty sure you face some struggles as well. So what I'd want to talk to you about a bit more, and what we'd all like to know, is talk to us a bit about the entrepreneur's mindset, your entrepreneurial mindset, how you dealt with struggles, how do you overcome them? Because if I'm interviewing you, you're successful, obviously. So we'd love to know that story and your journey.
Sure. And there's been a lot of struggles over the years. It's nothing that would discourage me enough to give up, because quite honestly, I don't think I could spend my days in an office with a bunch of people in a cubicle. And it's just not anything that I just can't even imagine myself doing that. So for me, the struggle was always, okay, we've got to figure out a way to work on our own. Now, before I was an online business, I already had my own business. So I'd been working for myself for a while, and I definitely didn't want to go back in the other direction. But some of the struggles that we saw, some were personal learning experiences, some were more business-related experiences, some were dealing with the economics of the time. I mean, I struggled through 2008 when the economy just plummeted. And I remember, I kind of knew it was happening before it happened, because I all of a sudden saw clients weren't paying bills, people were not paying on time, and I could see something was happening. And boy, I'll tell you, the first lesson you've really got to learn is you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because at that time, I essentially had two major clients who were paying all my bills pretty much, and everybody else was just kind of, a little bit extra here and there. And one of those clients all of a sudden couldn't pay the bills. And I was at that point in time working. I mean, I might as well have been an employee, because I was probably working, 40 hours a week just on their stuff all the time. And when all of a sudden the checks didn't come in anymore and they just stopped, and, oh yeah, no, they're coming. Don't worry. We'll take care. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll figure it out. Okay. And I keep working and working. And believe it or not, by the time, and this is where it gets kind of foolish, is by the time about 2.5 months had gone by, I finally realized I'm never getting paid for these last couple of months. So I literally went almost 3 months with no income, because I was working pretty much 24, devoted to this one company the entire time. Now, in all fairness, and to let everybody know, eventually they did pay that off, but it was a long time in the future and in small increments until they did. And it really hurt. I mean, savings were used to pay bills, and it just really caused a lot of ruckus. So if you can have more than one client, and in this case I had a few, but if you could really mix it up a little bit so you're not reliant on that one client to do most of your billing hours, you're going to be better off. So that's one thing that I definitely learned is a big deal. The other one is trying to forge relationships. So many people that I talk to, I say, well, how's your list? And they say, well, I never really built one. And to me, that just blows my mind, because that is the one asset that you can take with you anywhere. If your house burns down tomorrow and you've got to start over, if you have that list, you can. If your Aweber account gets shut down, you still have your list. You can go to another provider, assuming that you've kept offline versions of it, which I also highly recommend. But all of these things require that you make relationships, you build that list, and you really keep building and growing on it, but also constantly communicating with that list. I had a friend of mine who was another big-time marketer long before I was around. And one time I remember back, and this is going back probably 4 or 5 years ago now, before I really started to be completely to the point where, okay, this is my business now. I remember him saying, well, how often do you mail your list? And I said, well, probably like once a week. And he's like, once a week? He says, you need to be doing that once a day. And I said, once a day? If I mail people once a day, they're going to, they're all going to quit on me. They're going to go away. They're going to hate that. He's like, I want you, and he challenged me. And it was at Christmas time, like I said. So there's a lot of Christmas-based products, a lot of specials going on. Everybody had a special going on. He says, okay, I want you in the month of December to mail your list every single day. And so I did. I started mailing them every single day with Christmas specials that were going on, telling them about the Christmas deals. And what I discovered very quickly, and much against everything I thought would happen, not only did we not have mass numbers of people suddenly, hitting the unsubscribe button, but we had less people clicking the unsubscribe button than when we were mailing once a week. When I was mailing once a week, I'd send that one email and we'd probably get 10, 12, 15 unsubscribes. But when I was mailing every single day, all of a sudden, I was only getting 1, 2, 0, 3, 1. So it was a very few, even in that, a span of a week, I wasn't getting as many unsubscribes as I did when I mailed just once a week. And of course, the other side of that is my income went through the roof with that. People were buying these products like crazy. And it just showed me, okay, clearly there's a trend here. We need to make sure that we do this. And as anybody who's on my list will gladly tell you, and I'm sure if you're out there, you'll be glad to mention this, I have not missed a single day of mailing my audience in the last, since that day, since 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was. Not one day have I not mailed my audience every single day with something. Now, some people go, yeah, that's why I quit. And maybe they did. But I can tell you this, more people stayed than quit. We've had people that have been on our list for years, and people buy stuff because they get used to you. And that's the big thing that people need to understand is they need to remember who you are. If you mail them once a week, they might forget who you are. If you mail them once a day, you might annoy some people, but they're going to remember who you are, and they're going to learn to trust you and like you, because if they're staying on that once a day, then clearly they're getting some sort of value out of that. The other thing that I would say with that is when it comes to reaching out to your list, don't be afraid to be selling products. I discovered very quickly that when I email something that's not a product-based email, that's not a review, that's not information about some product that came out, I get complaints and I get unsubscribes like crazy. All of a sudden, if I'm doing, hey, here's 5 steps to make you a better business person, I guarantee you my unsubscribes are going to go way up for that email versus if I said, here's a product that helps you make, better videos, something like that. For whatever reason, and this may not be the case for everybody, but in my case, people expect me to tell them about products. They want me to explain products that are out because they're hearing about these products and they want to know more. And so that's kind of what, my little niche has become because of that. So there you go.
Amazing, amazing. So basically diffusing risk by diversification, not putting everything in one basket, and also building relationships are basically the two key things. Fantastic, amazing stuff. Let's get into a bit more into the meat of this because, you've already shared such amazing content. But let's say you're just starting out and, knowing what you know today and going back in time, if you had no money, no list, no website, and even no clue, what would you do to start making money online?
Well, it's funny you should say that because a lot of people face this. What can I do to get started today? And I tell them this all the time. And this is not always the fun answer that people want to hear. People want to hear, oh, I'd sell this product and I'd do this and I'd go to this. But quite honestly, if I was getting started today from nothing, I would be going after local businesses and trying to help them. And I know that's not a traditional make money online sort of answer, but honestly, for me, that seems like the best and easiest way to get money fast. And as I've seen over the years, that's the big thing that people struggle with most is they're trying to get into an online business, but they don't have the time or the money to wait. So in other words, they want to make money online. They want to start a business. Maybe they'll buy a product. They'll spend $200 buying some sort of product that's going to help them do it, but they need to pay the rent tomorrow. And so because of that, they can't give this product or this business that they're trying to build 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. They can't give it that much time to grow because they need to go get a job today. And so what we find most of the time is people jump into these things and they jump out and they go back to getting a job. And then maybe later on they'll try and they'll jump out and they'll go get a job. So for me, if you can work with local businesses, you can get money flowing in a lot quicker. And that way it can sustain you because quite honestly, anybody who's thinking about this, and I want to talk directly to the person who's thinking, gosh, I don't have a job, or I hate my job, or whatever it happens to be. You want to grow a business for whatever reason, but you're a little scared. Start off by figuring out exactly what you need to make to survive. Now, I'm not saying what you need to make to survive comfortably, but what do you need to make enough to pay the bills? So if you've got a $50,000 a year job, you may not need $50,000 to survive. You might only need $30,000 a year to survive right now. And if that's the case, then all you have to think about is, what can I do that would make me the equivalent of about $30,000 a year? Because that's going to pay my bills and keep me eating food. And so you're talking about, what, $100 a day or so. Okay, that's going to be, give or take, because you're not going to make money every single day. But if you shoot for approximately $100 in a day, well, then you can start to survive, and then you can grow from there. And so if you can work with local businesses, you could make that $100 a day, an entire week or even an entire month's worth at one time. Because there are businesses out there that need help with online marketing. They need help with video. They need help with SEO. They need help with their website, whatever it happens to be. And if you can provide that help, you can make a good living very, very quickly. I give an example a lot when I'm talking about certain other things, but I just moved across the country. So we have lawyer clients. Now, with my partners in another business, we've got very high-level lawyers throughout the country that we work with, personal injury and a few other niches as well, but mostly personal injury. When I moved out here to Georgia, where I live now, I had those clients there, but I didn't have any local clients of my own. I'm brand new to the area. I don't know anybody. So I've got to kind of start from scratch. Now, I've got the advantage of already having clients. I've got the advantage of already doing internet marketing, but I wanted to build a local business in my local area. And so I had to start by, at least virtually, knocking on doors and getting people to pay attention. And one of the things that I did was to start sending out emails to local businesses, showing them some of the shortfalls that they have. And, in one case, I sent out an email that said, hey, did you see what John Smith said about you on Google? And it said, I was looking you up and I saw John Smith said this. And it said, these guys are terrible. And I give them 1 star and, whatever it happened to be. And I sent this email out to a bunch of roofers, probably, I want to guess, maybe 20 in the local area. Within 10 minutes, I got a frantic phone call from a guy who's on the other line going, where'd you see that? And I'm like, whoa, who's this? What are you talking about? Hey? And he said, you sent me a message about how you saw. I said, oh, yes. I said, well, I saw that on Google. And he had no idea there were even reviews on Google. Not a clue. And so I talked to him, and within 5-minute conversation, I always say he sent me a check. He didn't send me a check. He sent money to PayPal. But within 5 minutes, he sent me $500 to start working on improving his local reputation. And so, 5 minutes to send out an email, 10 minutes later, a phone call, 5 minutes from there, we've got $500. There's not anything I can think of, unless you have a list and a product that's really popular. I can't think of any other way that you could just jump in and make money that quickly. And with local marketing, you can do just that.
Powerful stuff. Yeah, it's like you said, it's not very common. If you want to get online and establish a business online, that you start talking about local businesses. But what an amazing low-hanging fruit that is. That is so awesome. And I'm really glad you spoke about it, Ray. But let's get a bit further into detail here. And what would be the concrete steps? What would be the steps that you would take to take you from just being a newbie to your first $10,000 online? And remember, we still have Ray Lane as the newbie here, which you're obviously long past not.
Yeah, I would suggest that the first thing you need to do, and again, you can go different routes. I spoke of the local marketing thing, so I'll kind of stick with that theme. But this applies to if you want to be an affiliate marketer, if you want to be a social media marketer. You've got to find your niche and you've got to go deep. Now, in my case, it was local business right now and video. So video being the big thing in there that I do. But I wanted to say, for instance, in our other business, we mostly deal with personal injury lawyers. So I'm doing video for personal injury lawyers. Somebody else in the company is doing SEO. Somebody else in the company is doing Google My Business, whatever it happens to be. But we're sticking with a niche and we're going deep with it. So we go after attorneys all over the country, and these are big, high-level attorneys, some of which make millions each year. And because we've gone deep with that, we've now got enough cachet that we can work with these bigger lawyers. I'm talking, major market lawyers that a couple of years ago we probably never even would have thought of. And so if you can go deep with something, now in my example here, you're starting from scratch. I'm in a local area here outside of Atlanta, so my niche might be roofers. And maybe because I live in a small area, I might pick a few, roofers and real estate agents and bankruptcy lawyers, whatever it happens to be, and to go deep with that. So you go out. Now, we're talking about you may not have money, so you can't go out and buy all the tools that you want. But what you do have is you've got your own time. So turn off the TV and you can spend time doing some of these things. And the first thing you can do is just get on Google and look for all those red dots on the map. Search roofers, search lawyers. So whatever your niche is that you want to go after, search it out, look at that map, see all those dots, and start taking down their names and emails and building a database, and then reaching out to them and providing your offer. Now, some of you say, well, I don't have an offer. Well, you do. It's just a matter of finding what it is. Do you want to start offering them video? Do you want to help them with their Google My Business listings? Do you want to do SEO? Are you a designer and you want to design a website? Whatever you can do. And by the way, when I say you can do, you can outsource some of this. So if you can get a client, you don't know anything about SEO, you get an SEO client, you can outsource it to somebody else. So pick a niche that you like, pick a job title that you like. So SEO, video producer, whatever it is, and start reaching out to those businesses and do it every single day. Because quite honestly, you could send 100 of those today and nobody might respond. But you got to send 100 again tomorrow. And maybe now somebody will respond. And then the next day, 2 people might respond. So you've got to be consistent. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to put in the time. And you've just got to know your industry. So in my case, we knew a lot about law and I know a lot about video. So that's my 2 things that I can really go after. Now, I go after roofers. I don't know a whole lot about roofers, so I had to go out and learn about the roofers. What do they do? How do they do their business? What's the average cost per customer? What's the average cost per lead? Hey, roofers are great because they always have their cell phone on them, and that's the number that you call. So these things can always help. Whereas, if you picked the lawyer, every phone call you make is going to be to some gatekeeper who may not let you through. So you've got to work really hard at finding the right niche. And I found that roofers and real estate agents are fantastic for that because they list their cell phones and they answer their cell phones. So they're much easier to get into. And once you have that offer, you've got to really put the work into not only finding the client, but following up with them, because just reaching out to 100 roofers is not going to get you 100 clients. It may not even get you 1. But if 40 of those roofers open that email, well, it's now time to call those 40. It's time to re-email those 40. It's time to send a letter out to them, whatever it is. Walk in their door, go knock on their door and walk in. All of these types of things are what's going to take you down that path, because, many people say, you have to touch people 7 times before you'll get an answer. And quite honestly, I think it could be even more than that. There was an old marketing course that I took back years ago, and he talked about the A to Z scale and how literally you're touching them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and most of them, they didn't respond and get a sale until N. So you think about that. I mean, that's, 15, 18 characters in. So you've reached out to them 18 times, 15 times before they even respond and finally buy something from you. So it can be a long, tedious effort. You have to push it. But if you put in the time, if you know your niche, you go deep, you can definitely get those people to finally get in touch with you back. In fact, a great example, I had somebody this past weekend, I wrote about it on Facebook. I had sent out an email to them talking about something, and they called me back and insulted me for bothering them and everything else. And I wrote back to them and I said, I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know because here's why. And I showed them why there was a problem there. And the next thing back was, that's not about me. And I said, no, here it is. Look at this. You can see this here. And so now it started off with an insult. Then it was distrust. Well, now all of a sudden we're reaching a point where, okay, this guy's giving me real answers on things. I haven't asked him to buy anything yet. I haven't sold anything to him yet. He was angry that I was giving him information. But as the time went on and as these emails progressed, and now we're 4 emails in, suddenly he's on my side a little bit. So now, we've brought him back to our side here, and we're going to continue to try and reach out to this guy until, who knows, he might become a client. He may not. But I can guarantee you this, he no longer hates us, and he no longer thinks that we're, evil liars trying to destroy his business or whatever it was that he thought. But, it started off where he was very hostile, and now he's become more friendly, and at some point maybe even becomes a customer. So it's that consistency, because I could have just gone, oh, what a jerk, and ignored him. But I didn't. I decided to continue to follow that out. And we did a webinar last week, and the person presenting on the webinar said, you've got to give first. You got to forget about the money for a minute, and you've got to serve and you've got to give. And eventually the money will come out of that. And that is completely true. If you start off by providing something of value, giving something to the person, not only do they have the psychological, law of reciprocity, but it just, you feel good by giving, and eventually it's going to come back to you anyway. So it's just a matter of being persistent, continually reaching out and providing wherever you can. So that's what I do for the first 10,000. And, honestly, if you can get 5 or 10 clients, you're going to get that 10,000 pretty quick. So
amazing. Sounds like an awesome plan. Very, logically built upon what you said about local businesses and tying in all the skills that you have to convert into the first $10,000. Amazing, amazing stuff. Now I'm going to ask you a very special one. Okay. Because I know that this is close to your heart, and this is also something that really caught my attention back in the day when I was just starting out, and you were obviously an established marketer, and you were talking about also for local businesses leveraging Google and YouTube. You just come out with a software at the time, which creates all these videos and gets you ranked and gets you a lot of visibility. And I was listening to that, and I was mind blown. This was like one of the most amazing. I said, this guy is dishing out every sentence. It has a whole book behind it, was the feeling that I was getting. I said, this is amazing, which is why I want to ask you what newbies could actually do to use Google and YouTube to drive loads of free visitors to whatever they want to drive these visitors to. What would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, honestly, I've built a lot of it on video, and getting videos that are decent quality and that you put out that have value and provide information for people that they can actually use is going to drive traffic. And it's, it is a matter of making sure that you understand a little bit about SEO. I am not an SEO expert by any means, but when it comes to video SEO, I'm really good at that. That's something that I've been good at for a while. And it's just a matter of understanding the keywords, understanding your titles, your tags, your descriptions, making sure that your descriptions have nice long articles underneath them with information that really helps to benefit the video itself and the viewer that's watching that video. And if you can create videos, or you can even buy videos and use them inside of YouTube, rank them properly by doing the right things with your keywords, you can make money pretty quick. In fact, I tell a story quite often about a product that I had. It was for your phone, and it was two things. It was a microphone that you could plug into your phone to use a lapel microphone, and it was a stand so you could attach your phone to a tripod. And we sold the package for, I want to say at the time, it was probably $70 or so. And the way that we sold this, or the way that I sold it, was through YouTube videos. I didn't even have a website for this thing yet. So what I did was I created a couple of videos showing it off, and then in the description, I just put a link to PayPal. And people would go and they would click that link to PayPal, and they would pay me, and I would mail this out to them. And there was another step in there besides PayPal, because actually it wasn't. PayPal got their address, so that's where we got the address from originally. So it was 100% just a video with a button to PayPal, and we sold a ton of these products doing this. And eventually we built a website and did things the proper way. But what that does is that shows that you can drive traffic and sales just with a YouTube video. Because we didn't even have a website with a buy button. We didn't have a sales letter. In fact, the video wasn't even a video sales letter. It was me saying, hey, take a look at this, and showing it off and how it worked and showing what it was. And that was enough to get people to make purchases. Now, had we had all those other things and done those things properly, maybe we would have sold even more. But then we wouldn't have this great case study to show that you can sell things with just YouTube. So I highly recommend that you make videos. And I know that can be scary for some people, but you can do ScreenFlow or Camtasia type videos. There's a lot of different videos you can do so that you don't have to appear on camera. You can do a whiteboard video. Personally, for me, I don't mind appearing on camera at all. I do it all the time. And quite honestly, if this face can be on TV all the time or on YouTube or whatever, then anybody's can. It's not a hard thing to do. You just got to get used to doing it. And it works because there's a psychological connection between you and your audience when you speak to them directly, when you're on camera. And if you can make a good video about good products, you're going to be able to drive traffic and make money. And if you rank them properly, they're going to rank on Google as well. For those of you who don't know, at the time that we're doing this, Google has just reintroduced that 3-pack of videos onto the page where, in this case, it's actually a carousel because it can be more than 3 in that carousel. But this is something they used to do years ago where almost any search that you did would have 3 videos in a row. And now they're bringing that back a little bit. Now, are you going to get a video on everything? No, but a lot more than it was a couple weeks ago. And so if you can rank your videos well, if you can do good SEO, you can do backlinking to them, sharing them on social media sites and Web 2.0 sites and embedding them here and there and everywhere and doing all of that kind of fun stuff, you've got a much higher likelihood of getting to page 1 of Google now than you did just a couple of months ago. So I'd highly recommend you stick with video, work hard, make a lot of videos, and just make those videos of value and rank them, and you're going to get sales, you're going to get traffic just from doing that.
Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Just one little point of disagreement because you stole my line. The thing about the face being on the camera and this face being on the camera, that's my line, Ray. It's not yours. So if my face can be in front of a camera, anybody's it can be. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, jokes apart. Any closing pieces of advice for my audience?
You know, the biggest thing I would say, and there's a few things with this. The first one is, you know, you've got to be committed and you've got to plan. I spent, you know, a couple of years now. I had the luxury of having my own business, doing some other things that was making money as I was transitioning into the online marketing space and exclusively selling products and working with local businesses. And I know most people don't have that you know, advantage when they're doing it. They're trying to get out of a job. They you know, they don't have the time. They don't have the effort. But what you need to do is you need to plan this out, because I struggled a long time with this, you know, making a couple dollars here, you know, not making money on this and not mailing very often and not knowing what to do. And there must be something, it must be the magic of Christmas, because this is also a Christmas story as well. I was at my in-laws and I was lying in bed and I had a paper and a pen and I decided, okay, today is the day where I really plan to make this a successful business. And I wrote down all of my goals. Okay, in 6 months, I want to be making this every month. In a year, I want to be making this every month. I want to sell this many products. I'm going to do it by doing this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is how I'm going to do it. And I implemented that plan. And the great thing about it is my goal that I wanted to reach by 6 months, I reached that month. The goals that I wanted to be able to reach by 6 months, I had already surpassed, you know, or in 6 months, I had already surpassed what I said I wanted to be able to do by the end of the year. And it was because I made a plan, I worked the plan, and, you know, I had goals and I strived to reach those goals, and it worked. Now, is that always going to work? Not necessarily. Is it always going to be exactly what you wanted? Maybe not. Are things going to change? Are things going to go down? Because I've certainly seen times where all of a sudden, you know, where we were on top of the world and we come down to earth for a while until we figure out what's going on and then bring it back up. I had major struggles with email for the past 6 months or so, where all of a sudden when I would send out my normal emails, I wasn't getting any clicks. I wasn't getting any sales. I was getting nothing. And it took a while. I mean, we're talking a good 6 months before I kind of rebuilt things to where all of a sudden it was right back where it was, and now we're doing better than ever. But there was that dip where it was very hard, and it was technical issues and things like that had to be overcome. And when we figured them out, boom, things went right back. But you have to be able to sustain yourself during those times. You have to have a plan, you have to have goals, and you have to work towards those goals with your plan. And so that's the biggest advice I can give anybody.
Fantastic. Wow. Mind-blowing stuff. Ray, fantastic stuff. I could go on and on and on with you because I know you have so much of wisdom, experience, knowledge to share. It's fantastic. Thank you very much for having taken the time and sharing all this wonderful information. Whoever is listening to this is really, really going to benefit from this, despite knowing your story, following it all these times. Even I've learned from it. So thank you very, very, very much for that.
Oh, no, not a problem. It's my pleasure to do it. I'm glad to come out here and talk about these things and to kind of share some of my story. And I hope it helps everybody out there and that you can, you know, really get a good benefit out of that. So.
Awesome. So it's Dr. Samir Joshi signing off. Thanks very much. See you in the next video.